Thank you very much. I want to dedicate this talk tonight to the caretakers of those with Alzheimer's disease. It's a tough job physically, and it's a heartbreaking job to see people fade away that you love and know. But there is some hope. While the currently used drugs don't offer a lot of hope, there are techniques that we can use to really improve the situation. For instance, in the trial that Stephen Shore just mentioned, you can see the graph. People started in the beginning stages of dementia. And by the time, actually only 3 months went by, they were already testing in the normal range. And at the end of 9 months, they were, 29 out of 30 on the test for memory and cognition. This is the team that we had to help us run the trial, the Hawaii Dementia Prevention Trial. It's a big undertaking to do a randomized clinical trial, and it took a lot of people. Every one of us worked without pay to do this trial because there was no vitamin manufacturer to write checks. And we did it gladly because we were able to actually make a difference. I designed the trial and I ran the trial with a lot of help, and I'm also the lead author of the paper, which you can see on the screen, which is in the Journal of Brain Sciences and was published just exactly 1 year ago. I'd like to just briefly familiarize you with some of my other work that also bears on this work. My latest book is Diabetes Breakthrough, and this is also valuable information for the brain, which burns a lot of the energy in our body. I've written a book, Arthritis Relief, and this also bears on the brain because inflammation can increase pain in the joints. But inflammation can also increase the damage and destruction of our brain cells. The Diet Doctor software is one of my favorites, and I use it all the time to analyze diets. Has anyone here ever analyzed your diet to see what's in it? Nutrients are largely invisible. So how do you know if you get enough calcium or too much saturated fat? Well, for me, I checked the diet and I found out exactly how much people are getting, or myself, and then the diet can be adjusted so that we get the optimum range of nutrition. I won't go over all my books right now, and this is just a sampling, but The Fats and Oil Demystified is a textbook that helps people to understand this very much misunderstood subject of fats and oils. Some people actually think that saturated fats are essential for health. They're not. But it's a good idea to learn the basics about fats and oils, which ones are essential, which ones are not so good to get too much of. On the bottom left, you can see a book, Nutrients for Memory, and that summarizes the talk that I'll give you tonight, but with much more information on what we did. And my goal here today is to tell you what we did in the Hawaii Dementia Prevention Trial, the great results we got, and the fact is, you can do it yourself. None of this is prescription medication. And something else about my work is that I will only use approaches that are safe. I never use approaches that are dangerous in any way. Another thing is that I base all of my evidence on peer-reviewed medical studies, which I read a lot. So does diet have any power over dementia? Well, here's a study. This was done at the, actually they used a MIND diet, which MIND diet is a combination of the Mediterranean diet and an antihypertensive diet designed to lower blood pressure. They were able to lower the age of people so that they delayed dementia for 7.5 years. Wouldn't that be nice? Well, let's keep our minds young as long as possible. What did they do? In this trial, basically it was a lot of berries, green vegetables, and less animal fat. We can do that, right? This trial, the Rush Memory and Aging Project, lead author is Martha Claire Morris, and she did an excellent job, reported in 2018 in the most prestigious journal, Neurology, the equivalent of 11 years younger on people who ate 1 to 2 servings of green vegetables a day compared with people who didn't eat much green vegetables at all. Wow. our chief neuropsychologist has stated that if we could delay dementia for 10 years, that would be the end of the epidemic. Why? Because it often strikes in the 80s, and if you're dead when it happens, it doesn't bother you, right? So let's delay it as much as possible. Unfortunately, the drugs that are used, there's two basic drugs that are used by neurologists to combat Alzheimer's disease. Donepezil, brand named Aricept, is the most common one that is dispensed very freely to those with memory problems. It's FDA approved for for moderate and severe Alzheimer's disease, but it's also used for mild Alzheimer's disease and also mild cognitive impairment, kind of the precursor to dementia. Unfortunately, according to this recent study in the Journal of the American Geriatric Society, there has minimal effects on cognition, but 76% more vomiting and 62% more diarrhea. That doesn't sound very good, does it? We have some solutions here tonight that do not involve those unpleasant situations, but that work as well or better than donepezil. The other drug that's used is memantine, and memantine is not very effective, and it has some adverse side effects. Blood clots, psychosis, and heart failure are some of the side effects. So it's a good idea to look at safer approaches, don't you think? What about supplements? Can they have any effect on dementia? Well, this study, elders were supplemented with a small amount of synthetic vitamin E, not a good idea, a small amount of vitamin C and some beta-carotene for 4 months. But even this supplementation, which isn't perfect by any means, managed to improve their memory about 15% compared to control group where they did not improve their memory. They stayed about the same. So it may be possible, and in the Hawaii Dementia Prevention Trial, I used both dietary changes and also supplements.